This Seed Starting Moment series is about the whys and some of the hows of my seed starting story. The number one tip that you're going to hear throughout this whole series is keep it simple and stay out of the rabbit holes. Whether you dream of being a flower farmer or you just want to grow flowers for your kitchen table, I'm Lisa Mason Ziegler. I'm glad you're here. Let's jump in. Hey friends, welcome back to Seed Starting Moment number 7, the last one. And this is about planting these killer transplants that you have now grown in this living soil, in this great little container that is going to build up and add organic matter to your garden. And this is all about planting. So let's talk about generally bed prep. Our general practice here, every time we turn a bed, what that means, turn a bed, take out an old crop, however we extinguish it and put it and getting ready to plant a new crop, is we prefer to add 2 to 4 inches of either compost or leaf mold. Now, we don't do that every time now. We've been doing that for years. That's why my soil is so amazing here on this farm. But for the first 10 years of my growing career, I will tell you that I was a regimented 13 wheelbarrow loads on every bed at every crop turn, and my beds were like 50 feet back then, to give you an idea. And so every time I pulled out one crop, what I learned early on that I didn't have any idea is if you want to be able to get the quickest access to your space, it's better to pull a crop out, which now we would actually cut the crop at ground level, cut the stump and just leave the roots. But we would pull the plants out, throw them in our compost heap to make more compost. We would then apply a dry organic fertilizer. And again, y'all, organic fertilizer is really all about feeding your soil and the microbes that are in there, that they in turn are the ones that deliver it and take care of your plants, and also allow the moisture to get to your plants in a very different way than when that's not there, right? So we pull the plants out, and I would put a 2 to 4 inch layer of compost on the top of that bed. And I did incorporate that with a shallow tilling to just incorporate it into the bed because my soil wasn't so awesome back then. It's quicker to improve your soil and getting that organic matter down in there by actually incorporating it. And I still do. I have a walk behind 8-horse Troy-Bilt tiller that's what I would just run that down the top of the bed, and that would incorporate it. So I would use dry organic fertilizer according to the package recommendations. I don't know what you would have to just read whatever your package directions are, because here's the thing, because people are always saying, well, which fertilizer do you use? Well, first off, we do sell it in small quantities, not big farmer quantity. But organic fertilizers are very regional because they're made out of organic products. Those things are typically very focused on regional availability. So what may be available to me? So the one that we use and sell is a chicken litter processed, OMRI certified fertilizer, and it's very general purpose, right? The only time I would add anything beyond that, means anything specific or lime, is when a soil test tells me, friends, if you are farming or gardening without soil testing at least every other year, but why not do it every year? You're gardening and farming with a blindfold on. If your pH is out of whack, doesn't matter what you put in your soil, it is not going to be taken up by your plants. A soil test is a report card, and it tells you what to do. Instead of asking people what to do, you need to have a soil test. And when you have a soil test and you're using organic products and you find what farm supply is near you, a lot of them will help you based on your soil test results to know what to do. So it really creates a lot of help. So pull out the crop, 2 to 4 inches of either finished compost or leaf mold, whether you buy it or make it. Doesn't matter. We incorporate general purpose fertilizer according to directions. We incorporate that. And then, friends, you have to create some kind of mulch to keep weed seeds from sprouting. We are big believers and users of Bio360. Bio360 is a biodegradable film. It's made in Italy. We buy it out of Canada, and I have used it probably now for 12 or 13 years. Totally changed our farm and life. And we have experimented the last 3 years. We do have no-till beds on this farm. And I will tell you that in my experience, I definitely prefer my beds being covered in Bio360 instead of organic mulches. And I'm not saying I don't use one or the other, because I do use both, but I definitely see more weed suppression when I use Bio360, particularly with cool season hardy annuals. But the point is, you have to do something. You have to block the light from getting to that soil surface to germinate plants. Bio360 is just like plastic. Plastic, unfortunately, cannot be turned into the soil. Bio360 is totally compostable. It can either break down into your soil. You can put a shallow layer of organic mulch on top of it if you'd like, but it's not required to just for looks. But you can block the light 100% to your bed top. So it prevents annual weeds from sprouting. To do that same job with organic mulches, whether it's shredded bark or straw or whatever you use it has to be fairly deep. And when I have to go here in the South, deep enough to prevent light, it causes problems with small transplants. And that's what the big problem has been. But you have to address it. And you can learn more about Bio360 and see there's actually YouTubes of me talking about it and showing it in my garden and saying why I like it. You can look that up. But you can learn more about that over on our and get some over on our website. So you've got to mulch your beds. You've got to block the light. How you do it is 100% up to you. And so do you use row cover? I do use a lot of row cover. I don't use it the same way that I did many years ago because of our climate changes. We have so many swings. Sometimes it's difficult. I typically only use row cover when we're planting warm season tender annuals, when I need varmint protection like deer and rabbits, particularly rabbits. If we plant and cover immediately, we can prevent rabbit damage, but you have to be very careful not to overheat them. Cool season hardy annuals all have row cover installed, and it may not be up, but it's in the garden ready to be pulled up in the event of windstorms or a crazy temperature swing. Wind is what I typically, wind and varmints is what I really use row cover for cool season, hardly annual seasons. I mean, that's when the deer are grazing the most. And not only a lot of times they won't really eat all the plants because there's just not much there to eat, when they're fall planted or they're small in very early spring, but they walk all over the beds and put holes in them. The row cover, when it's up on hoops, tends to help to really prevent that. So row covers are essential. I have enough row cover to cover my entire farm, particularly when we were in high production. And so it's a part of what is a really big part of my whole growing analogy is, y'all, I have backup plans for the backup plan. And that's what's made me sleep good at night. I don't have to worry about stuff that I can control. And it allows me to really just maybe not take risks, but do push the envelope on things and have some great successes. But if I don't, I know that I did everything that I can. So friends, prep your beds, do the wheelbarrow work. And one of the things that, people say, well, you have a tractor now. That does not help with compost administering. We don't drive a tractor all over our garden dumping compost. It is still wheelbarrowed in when we do it. But now we also incorporate cover cropping into the whole cycle, which I don't recommend people do until you've got a grasp and you've got your soil up and going. So friends, that is my tips on planting. Prep the beds, get some good food and organic stuff going on in there to feed your microbes, who are the ones taking care of your plants. Cover the soil however you're going to cover it. Use row cover, particularly for wind and varmint damage, to keep that from happening. And I hope that this seed starting moments has helped you. And this whole series was thought up in the brainchild of Rhonda, who is our warehouse manager. Rhonda Graves is our resident master gardener, who is the one that is receiving a lot of your questions. And that's how this whole series was born. So friends, head on over to the gardenersworkshop.com for all the seed starting equipment I've mentioned, the Bio 360 online courses, all the resources that you need. And until we meet again, ciao.